All right, here we go, people. We are up. We are ready to rock and roll. It is time for the NBA Tip-Off Show, powered by WagerTalk.com. I'm Joe Raineri, joined today by Ski. There he is, Hakeem, hanging out with us finally, and we should all be blessed because he's not passed out under the bed right now. He is actually alive and ready to talk some NBA. Dr. Chuck RX from SportsMemo.com. And the man behind the man who forgot what the man's name was, Tony Finn, damn it, joining us from WagerTalk.com. We are loaded here today, guys, with NBA talk. Interesting slate of games tonight, some interesting matchups. We'll dive into those. But I will start, of course, like we always do, talking a little bit about what happened there last night. And, Tony, we talked on the show yesterday. We had you and Brian Leonard, and we were going over. It was a small slate. But one of those games happened to be what's going to happen to Atlanta. Like, what's going on with the Atlanta Hawks, man? And, you were right to point it out. They were on a 10-game losing streak. They weren't playing awfully well, but, boy, they sure turned it around last night, my man.
It helps. It helps to be playing the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. Well,
and even though Looney was back, so we still have no Draymond Green. We still have no Mr. Curry. We still have no the 2019 stud D'Angelo Russell.
Right. Yeah. But we did have a W for Atlanta, which is is all that matters here, guys, when it is all said and done. I don't know. I got to ask you there, Dr. Chuck, is Milwaukee going to lose again or what's going on there? I mean, the Knicks are just terrible. Don't get me wrong, but, man, Milwaukee is just everything. They seem to be just a cut above everybody else right now. It's just it's amazing. I know he's a freak, but wow, that team's playing really well.
Well, especially in the East. We discussed last week. We both we were thinking that the Bucks were kind of like the Lakers East, and that it's just kind of when they decide they want to win that they're going to pump the gas and get that W. And the Knicks weren't a challenge on paper, and it was even less of a challenge on the floor. But it just feels like, they have a decent challenge, and I think the playoffs will be as interesting in the East as they might be in the West. But for the regular season, I don't know if there's going to be as many challenges for the Bucks. My Sixers should be giving them a challenge. Raptors and Celtics are a little bit of a different look this season, but it feels like. Hopefully you might have had the over on the wins preseason look on that bet. Yeah,
it's going to get ugly. And Ski, when you were not at the strip, when you were not at the clubs, were you what is wrong with Utah, man? Like, seriously, what is going on? I thought we had such high hopes for this team, man, and now, Gobert's back. They're awful, man.
I can't tell you exactly what's wrong, but that's what stood out to me as well. They got to get it together fast. It's a team that's expected to be top 3 in the West, right? Yep. And they're looking nothing like it. They can't win on the road. They're just poor away from home. So they got to find out how to get with that. And are we calling them Golden State?
No, Draymond. No, GS. No, they don't get that name until they can actually put a couple of wins together and not get blown out by crap teams. Tony, what's going on with Philadelphia, the 76ers? They don't want to lose at home, brother. What's going on with them?
No, that was another game that I liked last night too as well. So here's it. Utah. It was a bad spot for Utah, even though they haven't played well. And I still think this team is. If you looked at some of the preseason futures, if you guys did from the books here local in Vegas and even the offshores, this is a team that many had winning as many games as the Lakers and the Clippers, and being that team, that defensive team in the West, which I think is safe to say, other than Denver and Utah, maybe there's not a whole lot of defense teams. Maybe now with LeBron and with Anthony Davis in the paint there in LA, there's going to be a little more focus and a little more, at least a little more talk about how do we defend. Is that a conversation? I still think in this day and age, you guys, in this climate of the NBA, it's a forgotten art, and I don't think a whole lot of teams and a whole lot of coaches do enough do enough technical defensive practice and such. It's anymore they don't practice anyway. Yeah. So what's wrong with Utah? They'll go back home. They're good. They're good at altitude, and they're tough at altitude. And let's get them all healthy for 5 straight games, and I think we'll see a different Utah team.
Yeah, and one of the actually it was chalky as ass last night there, Dr. Chuck, except for the Chicago Bulls, who somehow or another were getting 5 points against maybe the only team they would, Sacramento. But Sacramento was supposed to win that game at least by 4.5, 4, according to the books. But, that didn't work out, man. Zach LaVine I think he's still making baskets here today. Pretty good press by Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, he went pretty nuts last night. It's funny, I had 3 plays, and it was all chalk. Mm-hmm. I happened to play both of the games we already talked about. Hawks felt like a perfect spot. Sixers just felt like I hate to play the Sixers. Usually I like to play against them, but that spot was so terrible for the Jazz. And they almost crapped it away, just like the Sixers do. But Kings were my last play, and probably the play I liked the most because I've been fading the Bulls out west. And I even said when I released the play that assuming Zach LaVine doesn't score 100 points, this should be a pretty easy victory.
Yes.
And even without De'Aaron Fox, and the Kings are really good at home and covered 12 of 13, et cetera, et cetera. But, of course, me and the Bulls are not getting along with Jim Boylan right now. I said last week that I would have laid 10 with the Blazers, and the Bulls came back and covered that as well. So maybe I'll play against the Bulls one more time, and you should fade that.
How about we look at we'll start taking a look at the board here, guys, some of these games tonight. One of the ones that I find very fascinating, and looking at the schedule-wise anyway, is how about Orlando and Washington? The Magic are off a win, but they've only I think have they won only one road game all year, I think, and it was the last one. It was against Cleveland, which everybody wins here. I don't know. It looks like I'm expecting a total every time I see Washington to be 250. But Ski, I'll start with you, man. Orlando taking on the Wizards on the road, not very good. Neither of these teams are really that good, but it's almost a pick 'em. It's hovering around 1.5 here. Total is 227, 226.5. What do you think of this matchup?
You touched on it a little bit already. They've only won that one road game. And, I mean, looking at both these teams, you might think, like, Washington is probably worse, but they've at least won 3 games at the house. Mm-hmm. There's no way in hell I'm backing Orlando on the road until they start to show me that they can play. 2-6 against the spread their last 8 games in general. When the number is picked to +3, 1-3, I can only go Washington. It's no other way I can look. Just simply fade Orlando on the road. Washington's offense can roll, and I would play them. It's not when I'm running to the window by any means, but it's just I would not play Orlando. And they play tomorrow versus the Suns. It's Washington or nothing.
What do you think, Tony, here? I mean, obviously they're a little banged up. No Vukovic. I think Fournier's not going to be there tonight. Terrence Ross starting to come into his own here a little bit, but it's just it's too much. They can't overcome it. They're not that talented.
No, this is a game that I like, actually. And I was going to mention earlier when we were talking about Sacramento, I was going to break in and say Chicago, Sacramento, Orlando, Washington, very teams that have shown absolutely zero consistency. Mm-hmm. And in our business, while you can't always project and predict everything like you can chemistry, and we'll talk about that later, but never mind. Here's what I was going to say, and that is, this is a team that, if you like revenge, if you think revenge exists in the NBA, then Washington beat Orlando, or Orlando beat Washington. I believe that's correct. The first game, the time they played, I may be incorrect about that, but I know they played. Washington scored 125 in the game. Orlando actually scored in that game. They actually reached triple digits. Right. Well, it was Washington defense. There is no Vukovic, and he had a huge game. Yeah. I think he scored 30 and 17 or 18 rebounds in that game. No Vukovic. Washington at home. The most dynamic player on the court tonight will be Beal. Yeah. And he'll put his 40 up, and Washington will win this game. And the fact that it's a pick 'em is surprising. Or the Magic, this is 2 clashes of styles, too, guys. Orlando's wants to play slow. They want to play defense. Washington wants to have nothing to do with either.
How about Dr. J? I mean, listen, there are some bright spots there. I think, the former Zag there, former Gonzaga Hakamura there, coming off his best game of the season. They got some pieces there. It's interesting to see how these teams, these middle of the road, less than middle of the road teams, and Tony talked about consistency. When we talk about Sacramento, Washington, you're not going to have anything consistent, especially when you don't have Vuka, but you don't have the centers of your team. But Washington's got some pieces here. Is it just a good spot for them here tonight, taking on this Orlando team?
Well, it's funny because preparing for this game, I really didn't like the spot for the Wizards. Four games in 6 days out on the West Coast, 2 games in LA, and all the trouble you can get into in LA, James Harden style, and altitude games, and it didn't really go well for them. But yeah, I mean, it might have worked out the best case scenario for them. They come back home and get Orlando, and the state Orlando's in with the inability to play on the road. It's funny too because just making the spreads, I didn't agree with the move because I was confused wide open to pick them, but then it's now I think it's gone to 1.5 or 2, maybe expanding even further than that, and it actually does make sense if you break it down because basically what Vegas was telling us was that Orlando in this state would have been favored on a neutral court, which is probably something you'd want to fade.
Right.
So yet again, I'm leaning towards the Orlando. Like Tony mentioned, Orlando is not a high-scoring team, high-powered team, missing a bunch of pieces. But Washington brings you there, and especially in the first half, Washington scores more at home, and as well as allows their opponent to score more at the house. And Orlando's not that bad on the road. First half, over/under, they're 4-4, so it's only 117. And so I definitely like the over there because that's a lot lower than you're getting with a lot of Washington first half totals, and it feels like Washington is going to think they can score a bunch, and they don't care if Orlando does too.
One of the other games here on the card, we talked about all week, maybe some possible automatic fade teams, and Ski. I don't know. Is San Antonio still an automatic fade for you? Because they got waxed on Sunday by Detroit there, 132-98, just terrible. No Aldridge, though. He was out of that game. I don't know if they've announced he was questionable for tonight's game, but does it even matter? I mean, even with Aldridge, they're 7-14. They've been an absolute nightmare this year, taking on a Houston Rockets team where – yeah, they're starting. I mean, we told you, Harden went for 60 in 3 quarters there on Saturday. What do you think, Ski? I mean, are they an automatic fade at this point until you see something else?
They have been an automatic fade. I don't know if they'll continue to be. I don't like them here in this spot. Aldridge is out. He's been ruled out in this game. Houston's just been on fire. It's hard to step in front of them. 7-2 against the spread their last 9. We know how bad San Antonio's been. No need to say those numbers, but without Aldridge and just how hot Houston's been, I mean, there's no way I really see them keeping up. So I would look towards Houston side or pass, but also I like to look at the total. This went under 7-2 on the road for Houston, under 10 of the last 15 games for Houston, under 5 of the last 6 for San Antonio. And I mean, it should be less points without Aldridge. I think they'll be able to protect the paint more because that's a big part of their problem. They can't stop anybody on defense when he's at the 5 because he's too little. So they'll play Jakob Poeltl, and he'll be a little bit better on defense. And I like the under, and I would lean towards Houston.
All right, going towards Houston there. What do you think, Finn? Is it kind of an automatic fade for San Antonio at this point?
Yes. We talked a little bit about this yesterday on the show, and those who listened about how we're going to make some adjustments and how some teams have been a coin flip, and their margin of victory, and both straight up and against the spread, have shown such. But we all 4 of us all know that San Antonio is not anything but a public team, and at the window, typically year in and year out with Popovich teams, you're going to pay a premium. It's an inflated price to back San Antonio. This year, this team is a negative, almost a -8 on both ends, that being margin of victory, -8 their losses, and as well a -8 against the spread. And this is the first month of the season. This is a team that is inflated. So if anyone's going to regress and get worse, especially with no Aldridge, it's San Antonio in my mind.
Yep, 5-16 against the number in the last 21, 1-5 against the number in the last 6 at home, 1-6 against the number in their last 7 against the Western Conference. I can keep going on. The bottom line is they suck. So talk to me here, Dr. Chuck. This game, are you shocked the line right now, even with him out, with Aldridge out, it's 6. It's 6.5. I mean, the numbers are around the mid 230s, 234, 235. Is the number too low in your opinion?
Yeah, it feels cheap to me, honestly. And maybe part of it is, like Tony said, it's still a public team. They're home. The public sees the Spurs at home, and Vegas thinks that it's going to be easier or they're just in general going to get more Spurs money. But I can't imagine that anyone wants to back the Spurs that has any amount of money to put on this game that's only getting a half dozen points. Harden is just they're 3-0 off of 2 days rest, and it doesn't 3-0 straight up and ATS, and I just can't imagine that this isn't kind of a blowout and Harden gets another fourth quarter off, in my opinion. I also think similar to Ski's point, the Spurs as home dogs are an under team, the Rockets as road chalk are an under team. And so I kind of lean towards a total play on that as well. But, yeah, it's Rockets or pass, absolutely.
All right, so another game. Go ahead, Tony.
I just want to jump in and say that there's only one team in the league right now that does a less than job of defending the three-point line than San Antonio. Who is that? It's GS. I'll keep the form here. GS.
Thank you.
GS. And in truth, let's be honest, that's what Houston does pretty darn well.
Yeah.
So I don't know how. I agree with all you guys. I don't know how. Either you put the garlic on, stay away from this game, or you're on Houston, in my opinion. So
yeah, there's really only those two options. We touched base on it a little bit yesterday, Tony and I, talking about some of these teams that maybe the little bit of overvaluing going on, a little bit of undervaluing some teams that we should be looking at that the market just hasn't paid attention to. And guys, let's be realistic here. The Toronto Raptors have not been a team that the market has looked at favorably, or at least been giving them the kind of credit that they've so far deserved. Well, that's changed now, hasn't it? Because here they are at home taking on a Miami Heat team where I don't understand this line. Toronto is now laying 4.5. The Miami Heat also one of the top 3 teams here in the Eastern Conference, top 3 or 4. 2 of them are playing in this game, and yet now all of a sudden, Tony, it looks like the market is flipped. It looks like now the public especially loves the Toronto Raptors at 4.5 taking on the Miami Heat.
These are the two, right now I believe they're the two best teams ATS against the spread. I think Miami being like a 70%er and Toronto being a 68%er. What we dream of being against the spread.
Yep. 70
and 68%. Lovely. And both these teams have been, for the most part, I agree with you. Listen, the market value has margin of victory for both these teams. I think Toronto's 9, guys. They're the highest in the league right now. Their margin of victory is a 9 and a plus 7.5 against the spread. Miami not far behind, 6.5, I think, and a 4.4. And I'm shooting off the hip of this because my memory being so good at my age that I just read it once and it's there. But guys, this is not the game where you're going to get bad. This is a good game, and I think if all things being equal, you're supposed to be on Miami here, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, Ski, talk to me, man. It's we've made some money here back in Toronto early on because the market just would not adjust or give them credit. But are we giving them too much credit now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really love the idea of laying the 4.5, but that's the only way that I could look here. Looking at Miami, they're going to be without Dragic. I think that's a big deal. That's their leader off the bench. He's going to be the one finishing the games as well. Miami, they've been great at home, not so great on the road. As a road dog, they're 2-4-1 against the number. And when they play like the better teams, I think they lose. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't name the teams, but I want to say the last couple of times I saw them play good teams, I think they lost.
Philly,
so
Houston, yeah, they've gotten their asses handed to them.
There you go. And
Denver.
And there you go.
Yeah.
So they're 6-5 straight up on the road. Not even really good. They're doing it all at home. And Toronto is the opposite. I mean, they're at the house. That's where they're striving. They're 7-1 as a home favorite, 6-1 against the number last 7. You get You get Lowry, game time decision. You have Ibaka back. I like the Raptors are pass.
Dr. Chuck, what do you think, man? Miami Heat, think Jimmy Butler can put this team on his shoulders here or what?
No, absolutely. I said last week, how many times are we going to do this show, be confused by the Raptors line, find a reason not to back it and lose? That's right. We said it last week with the Magic, and I said I think it's Raptors or pass. And I don't know. It's a trick again. It's these are the two teams. I think they're both. You got like 14 wins already against the spread, but it's like he said Raptors are at home, and you're not laying a whole lot more than probably what would be home court advantage, Butler or not. And I just can't imagine not laying the 4, especially if you can get 4. Like I'd lay that in a heartbeat, just like I would have laid the 4 on the road last week in a heartbeat. And it seems like okay. So I agree with you that the market maybe has flipped, and Vegas is finding a reason to get some bets on both sides. But I think a lot of the money knows that the Heat are a home team and that you go the other way or pass on the road.
And I interrupt you real quickly, Joe. I don't. You guys were talking about how easy a schedule or how Miami had beaten less than. Okay, I think that if I'm mistaken, I was doing power rankings yesterday, and I think Toronto's only beaten 2 teams with 500 record or better.
Yes.
You might want to correct me on that, but I think their schedule's been just as soft. Those 2 teams are. I think it's Philly and the Lakers. I think so.
Yep. No, yeah, and that's been the biggest complaint by even Raptor fans themselves. Will say that. Yeah, while it's been fun to profit from them, but it's not exactly. It's been murderer's row for them to this point. But this is a good litmus test game here tonight for both of these teams. I think at this point it would be nice to have Dragic off the bench, but we're going to see what Tyler Hero is all about now, and what this kid can bring to the table. Which, of course, then leads us to another situation here tonight, possible revenge spot, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. What's going on with the Lakers and Nuggets here tonight, guys? Because the bets continue to come throwing in here and continue to roll in. One of the biggest bet games of the night opened up Nuggets -1, getting some money, guys. I see 2s across the board here. I also see the number coming down, which I found interesting. Opened up at 211. We're down to 208 in a lot of places. It even down to 207.5 I saw earlier. So, Ski, I'll start with you, man. The Nuggets, Lakers, Nuggets at home, man. You buying some golden nuggets here tonight? What are you doing?
Yeah, when I first look at this game, I always love the Nuggets at home. Nuggets are a great home team. And the Lakers not so great on the road. I talked about that, I think, the last time I was around. You want to play the Lakers at home and not on the road. The problem is that they don't play defense. That's the problem. Lakers at home, they play really great defense, allowing like under 100 on the road. They're giving up. Let's see, they give up 110 points per game on the road. So big difference in defense. In Denver, like I said, much better at home. So I understand the move there. I want to look at this from the total. Like I said, the Lakers are giving up those points. Denver offense much better at home. Lakers offense scores more points on the road than at the house. And Lakers can take advantage of Denver's weakness in this game. Denver's not good at guarding the pick and roll. Lakers are number 1 pick and roll team scoring with the roll, man. I mean, you're going to see pick and roll all game long with Anthony Davis and JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard, regardless who it's going to be. Jokic is really slow. He can't really jump. I think the Lakers just go to it all game long. And Denver is not really good against teams that cut often, and Lakers are number 1 doing that. So I see points. I see a Lakers team that's not going to play defense on the road, that plays better offense on the road, a Denver team that plays better offense at home, and Lakers can take advantage of what Denver is weak at. So I like points in this game.
Love that. All right, Dr. Chuck, Lakers trying to avoid their first 2-game losing streak, heaven forbid here. Maybe more concerning for either of these two teams. The Nuggets looking at that overtime loss to Sacramento over the weekend. But, man, Jokic has now been held to single digits in 3 consecutive games here, guys. Lakers are 7-2 in their last 9 against winning teams at this point. But Jokic is a bit of a concern if you're backing the Nuggets here tonight, Dr. Chuck.
Yeah, they're going to be hoping that Ski's right and the Lakers play a little less defense on the road here. I have a feeling this line, and maybe Ski has an idea as to the inner workings, seems to me And I know LeBron has already come out against load management, and I'm going to play when I'm healthy. But this back-to-back at altitude, is he going to play both nights?
Interesting.
So I'm wondering if there's already a built-in, maybe if he plays tonight, we can take that loss, and then he doesn't play tomorrow in Utah. I'm not 100% sure what the thinking is there, but the Nuggets haven't been, I think they're both, 500 on the road or at home against the spread so far this season, and I kind of agree with Ski on the total, but I would probably have to be Nuggets or pass on this, and I would probably, as Tony said, put the garlic around my neck and just watch this one and maybe use it as my advantage for tomorrow.
Finn, line's moving down in the total, man. 211 to 208 here. What's going on? You agree with the move?
What's the numbers on this? Is it
208? The total is 208 and -2 Denver.
I think this is a bad matchup for Denver. I think anytime you have a Davis, and listen, this Denver team is no offensive juggernaut. If there's an Achilles, if they don't get some points from their big, from Jokic, then they are not good enough to beat a team like the Lakers, who can do both, who can do either. They can score, they can play defense, and in this situation, there's something else going on that I understand. Denver's supposed to be one of the 8 in the West that are going to be competing for a championship, at least a Western Conference championship. And if you have to play Denver at the Pepsi Center, strike 3 points up for Denver, and there's at least 3 points to the handicap. But as far as Denver being, a home favorite of 1 point, less than 1 point, or less than 4 points, they're pedestrian. Last year they were pedestrian even at home against the spread, and they weren't a favorite a lot of times, just -1 or -2 points at home. But this is a game where I really like the Lakers, and with that's a pretty fair price to get the Lakers at, I think.
Yep, very much so.
Go ahead. I have one, Joe.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I understand where you're coming from, and one of the main reasons that I would be Nuggets or pass is because I kind of took, and you mentioned it, Joe, that Jokic didn't look good and they actually lost the game to the Kings, and I took that game as meaning something in the second half until last night when the Kings just let the Bulls run all over them and lose outright. And so I'm almost wondering if the Nuggets mailed in that second half and it wasn't necessarily all performance, and they're looking to this game. And so I just wonder if it's a game circle type calendar thing, and it's going to go that way. Now, I'm not making a bet on recency bias and because I lost another bet, but it makes me wonder. I thought, wow, the Kings showed me something. They're going to handle the Bulls by 5. So I was thinking, wow, the Nuggets really crapped down their pants. The Lakers are going to rip them. So I don't know.
I'm going to do this here, guys. We got there's only a couple of other games on the board, but I'm sure we'll cover them if they're part of your favorite best bets. But I do want to remind you guys, of course, the opportunity to head over to WagerTalk.com. It exists right now, and why do you do so? Well, you get guys like, Tony Finn's hanging out there. You got Ski there at WagerTalk, and then if you just want to hop on over to SportsMemo.com. You've got, of course, Dr. Chuck RX is there, ready to rock and roll. He'll have his plays all up, ready to go. All available, guys, today, Tuesday. WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com. And I want to talk a little dogs here tonight here, guys. We always like to go, we like to go to the kennel here, see if we can't do a little adopting of a dog, one of our favorites of the day. And Ski, I'll go to you, man. Does there happen to be a dog on the card that you like here tonight?
The one I'll look at.
It better be the one I think it is. Go ahead.
We'll see. Let's see. It's kind of a more of a fade than a play on the dog. I'm going against Detroit. Detroit is 1-8-1 as a road favorite. They've won, just like the Magic, they've won one game on the road. They're 1-9 straight up on the road.
Right.
They play the Bucks tomorrow. Do they really even care about Cleveland? They're already not good on the road, but do they care about playing Cleveland, or are they looking ahead to the Bucks? So I'll take Cleveland as my dog of the day.
Beeline's got him a little scrappy over there in Cleveland, Finn, doesn't he, man? He's got, don't sleep on Cleveland. They suck, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, they can still suck and put money in your pocket here, Tony.
Yes, they can. And if you, again, the old man can do some damage. Love can do some damage. This is a team that again, we talked about earlier, and that is that you're not going to, it's tough from night to night. You better start getting kind of that rhythm. You got to get in rhythm with some of these teams that are inconsistent. Know when they're going to play, when they're not going to play. And that really is the puzzle of the NBA for me, and it always has been. And that is, who was out partying the night before? Who was, who's home? They play. I'm one of those guys that believe wholeheartedly that your first game off a road trip of 4 games or more at home is almost a road game. Because you've been away so long and you're readjusting to and it may sound silly, but that's the way I look at it. And in this situation, the dog I like is that I like the Pelicans tonight. No one's even talked about them a little bit, but this was go back to October when dogs. I think he had a triple double and they won by 7 as 2-point dogs. And this is another team that, as good as they are, pardon me, as good as they are. This is a team that we can't count on Donski. We can't count on this kid to be terrific every night. And for Dallas to win, he's got to be terrific.
Right now he does. You're damn straight about that there. And Dr. Chuck and that line too, Mavericks hanging around at 3.5 points. Total is 233.5 in that Mavs Pelicans. But when you look at dogs here, Dr. Chuck, where are you barking, man? Where are you looking at?
Well, viewers seem to hate when we agree in this section, but unfortunately, it's just the way it goes. But yeah, I had all kinds of reasons to back the Cavs here. The Pistons can't cover on the road. Cavs have been off for a bunch of days. Kevin Love's got all kinds of R&R. He's ready to go. I like Beeline. They're at home and the line's expanding, which I can't agree with. So I'm waiting around actually, but I think it's all the way to 3, a full 3 at this point. Just seems like, especially maybe in the first half, where they're even, more rested, nothing else can happen. The fact that they're not as good of a team, but it's hard to not want to back. And I agree with the fade reason, but it's hard not to want to back the Cavs for the same reason. Beeline's had 3 straight days off with them to, practice and get prepared and get refocused and things like that, and they're getting points at home. Hard not to back that. I guess if you want to look at one more, not 100% knowing what with the Clippers is going on, is maybe the Blazers getting almost double digits. It's hard to back the Blazers at this point, and I agree with Ski, but that's a lot of points for the Clippers to care about.
It is not hard to back the damn Portland. Have you seen Carmelo Anthony? Let me introduce you here, guys. I know it's 2019, it's 2020, okay, but I was there in 2014 when he won his last Player of the Month award. All right, the dude has been unbelievable, but more importantly, interesting enough, Portland has been it's been a while. It's not like they've, when it comes as far as schedule, this is a very well-rested team, too. They are 11-3 against the number in their last 14 on at least 3 days of rest. They're 5-1 against the number in the last 6 in Los Angeles at the Staples Center there. And the Clippers, guys, I mean, outside of that blowout against Washington, they're 2-6 against the number in their last 8 against the conference. And also 2-6 against the number in the last 8 meetings between these two teams. I don't know. This is Portland. We're slowly but surely here, Ski, starting to see a little confidence roll into them. They're healthy. This break, actually, this last week and a half has actually been pretty good to them. They got Carmelo going. You get Lillard going. I don't know. You like 9 points? 9 points seems like a lot to me.
It does seem like a lot. And just my initial thought about this Clipper team, they play up to competition, when they have some how do I say, when they have a tough task, or a player that they're looking at, they're looking at Doncic or they're looking at the Lakers, they step up for it. When it's these other teams, they don't really necessarily care, and you're asking them to win by double digits now versus a team that's won 3 games in a row. I think it's too many points. I would look to take the points with the team playing well.
Are we crazy here, Ton? What do you think, man?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I mean, this is a team that they go out, they score 150 points, then they talk to the media after the game and say, we'll be better when we get to know each other. Really, you just scored 150 points.
Yeah.
So you figure they're 11. I think they're 11-10 against the spread.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at if you look at who they've played, they've played the good teams really tough. In fact, they haven't just played them tough; they beat up on them.
Yeah. So, and listen, it's all about load management with that team. So, if there's no reason to go after a losing team, well, there might not be any reason to go after Portland tonight. So, we'll see how that goes. Plus, they all love Carmelo Anthony. They might let him score 40 and win another award here. All right, guys, around the horn here, we'll go ahead and talk about some of the best bets in ski. We'll start with you, man. Best bet on the card tonight. Where are you looking?
You know, it's a couple of games that I like, and I kind of just want to mention one that I didn't get to talk about yet. Mm-hmm. So I'll go with Dallas and New Orleans.
Okay.
Two teams that play really fast over the last 5 games, top 5 teams in pace. Dallas offense is great. New Orleans, they got Lonzo Ball back. We know he'll help push the pace a little bit over there. New Orleans doesn't want to play defense. Dallas, 7-2 on the road. I think it's an over game. Like I said, both the teams are going to play extremely fast, run up and down the court all game long. I just see points in this game.
He likes a lot of points over there. So you're taking the $1,000 envelope you just found there while you were in Vegas, and you're putting that right on all of it. You're not splitting. You're putting it all on the total over.
I could split it, but I just have to bet it tomorrow if I lose one. So let's rock with it.
All right, he's going with it. He's rolling over in the Dallas Pelicans game there. All right, Finn, talk to me, man. You got a $1,000 envelope. You got to play it. What are you playing it on?
I'm playing on Beal. I'll take Beal, and I'm essentially I pick him -2 now or -3. -2. It's across the board. I want to tell you, I want to parlay. I want to play.
Ooh.
And you're gonna say, well, Tony's been at the dispensary and he's drinking tequila before noon. But I want to play Washington, parlay Washington to the under in this game as well.
Take Washington, lay the 2 points there, and go with the under in the game, huh? Keep it
under
in-house?
because Orlando. Washington forced the pace.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to dictate pace when you're on the road.
Love
and they
that.
dictated that pace against Orlando. Tonight, Orlando's going to do whatever they can to slow them down. And, of course, they won't score. They'll lose. Washington will win. And even against Washington, Orlando probably has problems scoring triple digits.
Dr. Chuck, running with you, $1,000 envelope. Where are you going, brother?
Well, that one hurts a little bit there. Don't forget, this is you did say earlier, this is basically a road game for the Wizards.
It is. It is a road game, yeah.
So, I sure hope they get triple digits because I'm on that first half over. But I would probably go same game Ski was talking about. I think he got the best first half ATS team at the worst first half ATS team. Pelicans run. They don't play a lot of defense in the first half, and I don't hate Tony's full game Pelicans play by any means. It's just that you're basically laying a bucket with the Mavs on the road for the first half where they might score 70 points.
Right.
And that'd probably be where I'd put that 1,000 is on the Mavs. I think they're maybe if I had it written down, I think they're 14 or 15 and 5 in the first half, and I think
I know they're 8-1.
Pelicans.
They're 8-1 against the spread their last 9 first halves. I know that.
Yeah, and I think maybe even that might be on the road too, or it is on the road. But yeah, it's such a small price to lay in the first half. You don't have to worry about what happens in the game, or if Doncic slows down, or if they figure him out, or anything like that, because they'll come out hot and these games they need to win because they get hammered by the Clippers, and so it seems like a given in the first half. But I would also, if you wanted to parlay something and go completely against the other bet, I'd probably take that first half Wizards Magic over as well.
Nice. And I would not at all be opposed to throwing a few bucks down on the Houston Rockets first half laying 3 on the road in San Antonio, too. Might be another direction that is worth looking at because I don't anticipate a whole lot of pushback from San Antonio here tonight. I think they'll have their way with him certainly early on. Laying 3 is not a big number. So you got Ski Profit, you got Finn at WagerTalk, you got Dr. Chuck RX, sportsmemo.com, wagertalk.com. That's where you guys got to go. NBA plays, guys, are up. They are loaded. They're ready to rock and roll. Make sure that you get there today. Plenty of opportunities to be able to profit on the card tonight. So Ski, Tony, Dr. Chuck, been a pleasure, guy. Well, it's been something with Finn here. But listen, it's been great. Tony, always a pleasure, brother. Ski, good luck to you. Dr. Chuck, Good luck, guys. We'll be back again tomorrow. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you hit the that little bell in the upper right-hand corner, and make sure that you guys are tailing everybody here. So good luck with the plays. Guys, best of luck. We'll talk again tomorrow.
Nastrovia.
See you.
Take care.